Welcome everyone to MetroConnect. This is our 5th year of running this program. I'm Jennifer Westerholm with the Department of General Services in our Division of Sustainability. And we are lucky to have partnership from Metro Human Resources in running this program, MetroConnect. I also want to acknowledge the great help and assistance we get from ITS, specifically Metro Nashville Network. They are the ones who have developed this awesome video that we are going to enjoy today, our virtual tour. So we're really grateful for the partnership and happy to bring this program to you for its 5th year. Really, the point of MetroConnect is to bring together all of us, Metro employees from different departments and divisions all across the city, to get to know one another and also to become familiar with the exciting, innovative, and sustainable projects and facilities that Metro has a part in. So we're just thrilled that you could join us today, and we're looking forward to getting started. I just wanted to welcome you and give a few housekeeping notes. If you have the ability to share video, please do. It's a great way for us to connect. And of course, when you're not speaking, mute, but please do participate. So you can use the chat function in WebEx, and you can also come off of mute and ask questions aloud to the group. We'll have a time after the video for you to ask some questions. And then please note this event is being recorded so that your colleagues and others may watch at a later date if they couldn't join us today. And then quickly, we'll kind of talk about what to expect. So first, in the spirit of connecting with one another, we're going to do a couple rounds of breakout rooms. This will be an opportunity to get whisked away into a virtual room with a couple of other colleagues to get to know one another and discuss a prompt that I'll be giving you. Then we'll do the virtual tour, the video, we'll watch that. We'll have some time for Q&A with our tour guides who are also here on the call today, and we will finish with a quiz. So make sure you're paying attention. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about this awesome tour that we're fixing to go on. So we're going to take a tour, virtual kayaking tour of the Cumberland River, right where it's at Shelby Bottoms Park and Greenway area. So a couple of interesting facts to get you excited. The Cumberland River is the source of Nashville's drinking water. So we're very lucky in Nashville to have an abundant and relatively clean source of water for drinking and all the other uses that we use it for. The river is home to a diversity of wildlife, in fact, thousands of species, very biodiverse. And of course, those creatures rely on a clean river for survival. The bank, the side of the river that runs next to the park, is managed by Metro Parks. And so you'll hear in the video a little bit more about some of the smart management practices that help keep the river clean. Now, the park itself and the wetland aspect of the park also helps filter and keep the river nice and clean. And as we were talking about before we got started, there are many, many ways to get up close and personal with this beautiful natural treasure that we have running through our city. So today we'll be virtually kayaking, but of course there's also canoeing, paddleboarding, and boating, and other ways to get a close exploration. So let's meet our tour guides. This is John Dodson. John has been with Parks and Rec for 33 years. He started as a lifeguard at 16 years old and spent most of his years in aquatics, but he has also worked in community centers and at the sailboat marina for a few of his years with Parks. He's been an avid whitewater, kayaker, backpacker, and hiker for a lot of years. So when the opportunity arose to join the outdoor rec team, he jumped at it. And in that role, John is dedicated to getting as many people as possible of all ages and abilities to come out and try an outdoor activity with little or no cost. We also have Lena Friedman. Lena is a naturalist at the Shelby Bottoms Nature Center. She has worked previously at the Nashville Zoo in their education department, as well as at A New Leaf, which is a working farm right here near Nashville. She also currently works as an animal care technician for the Vanderbilt Biological Sciences Department. And Lena graduated from Dickinson College with a bachelor's in science, in environmental science, and educational studies. So we are in very good hands today. And without further ado, except me getting my ducks in a row here, I am going to take us on our tour. Just get us going.
Hello, my name is John Dodson, and I am a special programs coordinator with Outdoor Recreation, and I've been working with Parks and Recreation for 33 years. Parks' mission statement is to sustainably and equitably provide everyone in Nashville with an inviting network of parks and greenways that offer health, wellness, and quality of life through recreation, conservation, and community. We have 15,134 acres of open space, including 178 parks and 99 miles of greenway. We employ over 200 people. We also have 4 nature centers and community centers. We have 10 regional centers and 17 neighborhood centers. So our main goal with outdoor recreation is to get as many people out to try activities as we can with little to no cost. So most of our programs are beginner-based. So we provide all the equipment, instruction, and safety to let people get out, enjoy these types of experiences, and then decide if they want to take it further, they can. But we just want to get them out, introduce people to these types of things. We do kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, mountain biking, climbing, anything you can think of that we can do outdoors. And today we're going to do kayaking on Cumberland River. We're just in Shelby Park, right up from downtown. We've got this beautiful river, and we're going to get out on it today and explore and see what we find.
Hello, my name is Lena Friedman. I am a naturalist at Shelby Bottoms Nature Center, and I am along on the trip today to tell you a little bit about what we see, point out some really interesting things that we'll be passing, and generally go for a nice paddle with you on the Cumberland, see what we find.
Okay, we're going to talk about our paddle right now. This is your motor and your steering wheel, one of the most important pieces of equipment that we're going to use. It's the difference between having a good time and getting frustrated just going around in circles. So you've got different parts of the paddle. This is called your shaft. This is called your blade. There's a certain way you want to hold it, and what you want to do is just grab it like you would bicycle handlebars. So your hands are just like this, and then once you get that, bring your hands up so you've got a right angle on both your elbows. So this is not going to work. You want them just right there, dead in the middle of the paddle, okay? This is your blade. This is what goes in the water, mainly just that orange part. You don't want to go too much further down than that. This is the front of the paddle. This is the back of the paddle. You use both, but when you're going forward, you want to use this side of the paddle. It's much more efficient and will make let you have a much more enjoyable experience on the water. So that's your paddle. Now we're going to talk about PFDs or life jackets. PFD is just personal flotation device, and life jackets, they're kind of an interchangeable word. I may use both. The important things about a life jacket is getting one that fits correctly, and then once you put it on, make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, that's important. You don't want a loose life jacket. So you can see Lena's already put it on. It's just like a vest. You put it over through your arms through the holes, and then you bring it around front. You zip it up, and then the way you tighten it, you've got straps on both sides. And sometimes it's a little hard to reach around there, so I'm going to grab one. And when you do those, you want to bring them tight, okay? So both sides, get them nice and tight.
Get that one?
and then always grab the ones up top and pull them towards you, and that tightens it up around your shoulders. So I can check, and if I can just move it, it's not moving around much, that's probably good. What you don't want to happen is you've got it on loose, you fall in the water, and your life jacket's floating up on top of the water, and your head's underwater. It's not doing any good. Another thing is, make sure they're Coast Guard approved. So that's always listed on the PFD, so make sure you get a good one. And if you're going to be on the water, wear your life jacket. They save lives. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is our boat. So this is a kayak. It's a flat water kayak. They make tons of different kayaks. There's ones for fishing. There's ones for whitewater, just flat water, having fun boats. So there's different strokes for different folks. These are flat water, and this is always the front of the boat, and this is the back of the boat, and this is your seat. Now, we're going to talk about getting in and out of the boat, but this is more pertinent when we're on the water, but this will give you an idea. So you can imagine if this boat was sitting in the water and I just decide I'm going to get in it like this, it's kind of wobbly, I'm probably going over and I'm wet before we even started. So what you want to do is grab, you've got straps right here, grab the straps. That gives you some stability because you're holding it with your arms, and then you sit down in the boat. Once that's comfortable, then just swing your legs around. Now when you're kayaking, you want to sit straight up and down, not down like this. Make sure you're nice and straight up and down, and then there's these pegs in the boat. Use the pegs. Your knees should be out. You don't want your knees in like this. When they're out like this, it gives you a little more stability. So make sure you use those pegs. All right, couple of safety tips, just general safety tips. Always bring a first aid kit. Another good idea is a dry bag. And then another thing is this is a throw bag, and it is full of rope. And then the last thing is always tell someone where you're going, what time you're leaving, where you're going to end up. That way, if something happens out there, people know and can tell the authorities what your plan was and hopefully help you out. Other than that, it's just getting used to your boat. Paddling is intuitive. Doesn't take a lot of skill or anything. Once you get in the water and you do it a little bit, it just starts making sense. So it's easy for everybody. Anybody can do it.
We are going along a particular portion of the Cumberland that runs right next to Shelby Bottoms Nature Preserve and Park, which is where I work. And as we go along, because we're going right next to the park, we're going to see some really interesting things today. One in particular that you will notice if you compare what will be the left side as we go upstream to the right is on the left we have Shelby Bottoms, and on the right is developed land. So you're going to be seeing a really big difference in the erosion on either side of the bank. Anytime you can leave the native vegetation in place, that's great because those roots will hold on to the soil and stop it from being carried away by rain, by water, by winds. And so because of that, the bank structure is a lot steadier. You're not having to worry about any infrastructure built on top of it. And also, you're not having all of that sediment and dirt washing away into the river and polluting the water, which is one way that Shelby Bottoms keeps this beautiful river clean so that we can use it and things can continue to live in it. So anytime that rain is coming through the area, it's going to pick up anything on the roads, in the yards, things like chemicals left from road traffic, fertilizer, pesticides, things like that, normally the rain's going to carry that into the water. But here, it has to go through Shelby Bottoms first, which is a wetlands. Wetlands are really important types of ecosystems. They support a lot of different kinds of life, and they have a lot of types of plants that you don't find in places like fields or forests. And they do a couple of important things when that water is coming through. They can act as a filter. So all of those things being washed down from East Nashville, they have to go through the wetlands first. And the plants are going to get in the way. They're going to soak up a lot of those toxins, and they can actually process a lot of it. So instead of coming into the Cumberland, it gets stuck in the wetlands, which can handle it. And that helps keep our water clean. The other thing that it does is when it rains really hard, the wetlands can actually soak up that water like a sponge. And so it's released very slowly over time instead of all at once, so it can help with some of that catastrophic flooding as well. All of this to say, the wetlands are really important that we're going to be passing for keeping this area here clean and beautiful. That's important for a lot of different reasons. A clean river is also really important for a lot of the animal and plant life that calls this place home. So there's a lot of things that rely on having this clean ecosystem. One of them are ospreys. We actually have one that nests on the train that crosses the Cumberland River on the train trestle. And it is a raptor, a fish-eating bird. And so top-tier predators like this, they're only going to live somewhere that has enough food, where the ecosystem is healthy enough to support them. And they're also really susceptible to pollutants. So we aren't going to have ospreys here if our river isn't healthy enough. Seeing it and knowing it lives here is a really great sign that we're doing a good job of taking care of our water. Another one is river otters. We don't see them very often. They're a little bit secretive and they like to hide, but we do see them. They're the same as the ospreys. They're eating fish. They need a large population in the waters to support them, and they can't handle pollutants. So the fact that we've got these ospreys and river otters here, it's a clean river. We can go out and enjoy it safely, and we can know that we are supporting the life that lives alongside us with the city.
All right, guys, we just had a wonderful paddle, beautiful day. We saw lots of great things on the Cumberland River today, and we just want to thank everybody for coming out and enjoying it with us. We always get lots of questions, and a big one is how can folks get on the river or help protect the river? If you want to get out on the river, you can join one of my programs through outdoor recreation. You can go to nashville.gov, which is the main website for Metro Nashville, and just follow the links to outdoor recreation. There is also 3 outfitters that run from Shelby Park to downtown. So if you want to go join them, check out Cumberland River Compact. They do a lot of great things with the river. There's also TSRA, Tennessee Scenic Rivers Association. They build a lot of boat ramps and maintain some of our waterways here in Nashville, invaluable to what we do. And then another question is how folks can get involved more broadly with outdoor rec in our park system. We always have volunteer opportunities. We always need people. So if you'd like to volunteer, like I was saying earlier, go to nashville.gov, find outdoor recreation. All my information's on there. If you'd like to volunteer, you just call me up, email me, and I will definitely put you to work. And then another option is we have friends of at each one of our parks, which that's another great way to get involved. That puts you in direct communication with whatever park that you're involved with, and there's always opportunities to help that way. Contact information for Parks and Rec, like I said, nashville.gov, and then the phone number is 615-862-8400.
All right, that was amazing. Thank you so much, John and Lena, for taking us on that virtual tour And just like John said, I mean, we got to see the Cumberland with the drone shots and the camera footage, but there's really nothing like getting out there yourself. And there's so many opportunities. So definitely take advantage. With that, we have our two experts, John and Lena, right here on the WebEx, and we want to take advantage of that. So we're going to have 10 or 15 minutes here to ask questions. So I encourage all of you to think about what you saw or any questions you may have about anything Cumberland River, kayak, or outdoor rec or Shelby Bottoms related. And you can just take yourself off mute and ask a question. So if you're feeling brave and you want to go first, go for it.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, this is Kyle from Public Library. I wanted to ask you about the flood from 2010 and how that affected some of the erosion protections that we worked to build up in Shelby Bottoms in the years that that's been around. Like how far did that set us back?
Well, although it doesn't, was obviously an unusually high flood, the area in the wetlands, we do get high water pretty frequently. So, it wasn't great for the area, but it was able to kind of come back from that faster than some other types of ecosystems might have, because it does have some of those plants that are more adapted to being completely flooded with water and recovering after, or may even have a life strategy that lets them kind of skip that rainy season and then grow from seed afterwards. So still wasn't great, but the wetlands ecosystem has a few advantages for overcoming catastrophic flooding like that, over just like a standard forest or something like that.
And I'll add to that, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but because I was looking it up as we were talking, but I believe so Nashville has two drinking water, treatment plants, Alejandro and Kayak Harrington, that Metro Water Services operates. And during the 2010 flood, I do believe that Kayak Harrington was submerged, like the equipment was submerged and it did go offline. But Alejandro, which I can't remember whether you saw it in the video, but it's literally right across from where we were kayaking. It's right there. A beautiful old historic drinking water treatment facility. Did not. It went, I think it was 2 feet from going under, but that drinking water treatment facility was able to stay online and continue to bring safe drinking water to the folks of Nashville. And, Lena, to your point, I wonder if, 2 feet, maybe those 2 feet could have been because Shelby Bottoms and Parks and Greenway right across the banks on the other side, kind of helping to filter and hold some of that water.
It could have been. And, if it's something you're curious about, if you do ever visit the park, we do have a sign on the Nature Center that shows how high the waters came in that flood. So the area near the bank was definitely completely underwater. It was just below kind of our deck area. So.
Great question.
It's funny, I was talking to a guy that works at one of our golf courses today, and we got to talking about the flood. And it was Ted Rhodes, which is right beside the Cumberland River. And the flood got it, and he said it left about a 2-inch film of sediment on the golf course. And they had the best turf they've ever had out there after that. So I guess it's all relative.
Silver linings. Great question, Kyle. Who else has a question? And if you don't have audio, feel free to type a question in the chat if you prefer to do it that way.
I have a question. John, so I know you must paddle a lot. This isn't Nashville specific, but what are your couple of your favorite places to paddle in the world?
You're muted, John.
All right. Tellico River and Tellico Plains, which is up on the pretty close to the border of North Carolina and East Tennessee, is my absolute favorite place. And then there was it's called Clear Creek in Colorado, was also one of my favorite places. But anywhere in East Tennessee, I mean, the plateau is beautiful. The Smokies, all that area. That you can't go wrong anywhere up there.
Thanks.
And I'll riff off that question, John. I know, the Cumberland is probably the closest body of water for many of us to try something like this out. And one of the scenes we saw in the video was the General Jackson going by. So, the Cumberland is an urban river, and it is a river that's used for commerce with barges and boats and things like that. So do you have kind of, I guess, tips or ideas around recreating on more of an urban waterway such as ours?
Just kind of know what you're getting into. I mean, there's the Stones River that goes from the dam at Percy Priest and actually flows into the Cumberland. And then there's Mill Creek, which we paddle that Mill Creek, it all depends on when it rains, if there's enough rain, whether we can do that trip or not. It's beautiful, but because it's urban, a lot of the trash gets washed into those smaller rivers. So you just kind of got to be aware of that. But they're beautiful. I would much rather be on those than the Cumberland, actually. Because you don't have boat traffic. You kind of get down in there and you kind of even though you're in the middle of the city, you feel like you're removed from it somewhat. That answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're lucky to be in a water-rich area where there really are. I mean, there's the Cumberland, but like you said, a lot of tributaries, a lot of other bodies of water, so lots of opportunity.
And we do a lot of stuff out at the lake, out at Percy Priest Lake. We have some property at Hamilton Creek. So on Mondays during the summer, we bring community centers out in the morning and afternoon, get the kids in the kayaks or stand-up paddle boards, do lots of Boy Scout groups out there and stuff. So that's a good starting place because it's flat, non-moving water. You're right there by the shore, so if somebody, decides they don't like it or not for them, they can get out and go home. As opposed to being on a river, you're on there.
Looks like David has a question. He wrote, what are some invasive species that are in the Cumberland River and how are they controlled? Lena, do you want to take a crack on that one?
That's a great question. I can do a little bit of quick research while we are talking here. I know a lot more about the land species than I do about the species in the river itself. I know that we don't have anything that is so pervasive that it's a really big concern. You have some waterways across the country where there is an invasive species there that's pretty much like destroying the ecosystem. Nothing we have is that severe. But if we do a couple more questions, let me see what I can find really quick. It'll be a good learning opportunity for me as well.
On that note, I saw a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, the Asian carp on the Tennessee River. They were literally jumping into the boats, with
Yes,
the noise of the boat motors would cause them to jump out of the water. I haven't seen any of those around here yet. Have y'all run into
I was
them?
going to say that was my first instinct when you mentioned invasives too. I wanted to double check, but yeah, the main thing in Tennessee right now is those invasive carps. And like you said, John, they're not overrunning us yet. We're not having a bunch, but they are in Tennessee and will probably make their way here eventually. So at the moment, I think not a lot of control going on for them in Nashville. But we are connected to the range they're in at the moment, so I'm sure it will become a problem for us at some point.
And I mean, Lena, you were saying you have some more expertise in the land species. I know like there's a lot of plants that are invasive too. And I know Parks do work around that, right? To kind of, whether it's privet or honeysuckle to try to weed some of that out and make space for the native plants and I'm sure animals as well.
Privet and honeysuckle are definitely our two big ones, and they're the ones that our invasive removals focus on because they're big bushes. You can go in and actually pull them out. Friends of Shelby does a lot of that. They do really great work getting people into the park and doing invasive removals. They aren't our only invasive species in the park. They're just the ones that, like I said, we focus on because it's possible to actually go in and do physical removal. We do have a lot of Asian siltgrass that grows along the pathways where it's mowed. Luckily, it isn't quite encroaching into the forests quite as much, so it's not a huge concern yet. But those areas that are kind of artificially maintained so that people can have a walking path, we are seeing that Asian siltgrass kind of taking over in those areas. I will also say this is not an exotic invasive, but because we're in an urban area, and so we don't have a lot of deer eating predators. The deer do, as great as it is to see them in the park, they do actually eat a lot of our understory. And so while you're walking, because we have so many of them, you can kind of see a browse line along the forest where pretty much there's not a lot of green anywhere that a deer can reach. And so they are eating a lot of those younger trees and a lot of that understory, which, for us as a small park, it's not a huge deal, but it is something that we notice and we try to keep an eye on.
They eat all my vegetables.
Yep, and they'll go in yards and see what they can find.
Any other questions? See if you can stump Lena and John. Come on, guys.
Y'all do like nature tours where you point out the different plants and animals and stuff?
We absolutely do. We do all sorts of programs at the Nature Center. All the nature centers do. If you are closer to Warner or Beeman or Bells Bend than you are to Shelby, if you just go on our websites and find our program schedules, we try to offer a really wide range of different types of programs and aimed at different ages. So we will do some, like you said, nature hikes. We will often do some evening hikes to try to spot some of our more nocturnal or animals that we wouldn't normally see during the day. We also will do programs aimed at younger kids and to getting them interested in nature and to get them outside. We do citizen science programs, so coming to learn how to do some really basic data collection and help scientists out, things you can do at home. We do a bunch of different things. So I would really take a look at the program schedules because with the really wide range between us and the other nature centers, there's going to be something that piques your interest. And I would really encourage you to go along and try those out and see what's offered.
And that's all year long too. And it's, there's things like, during the spring, it's wildflowers. This time of the year, there's lots of tree identification hikes because there's, the leaves are falling. It's easy to kind of do that stuff. So yeah, there's plenty.
Speaking of leaves, our director is leading a fall colors bike tour this Saturday, and there is still room. So if you have a bike and a helmet and you'd like to come along, you just need to call or email us and we'll get you signed up.
And if you need to borrow a bike and a helmet, you can call me, and I live close to the park and you can just zoom right down the hill. So I'll hook you up.
There you go. Nice to have those connections.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the program does say registration required, all that means is you need to call or email the Nature Center that is running the program. Just they're all free, but it just makes sure that we have an accurate head count and we know who we're expecting. And that way we can send you weather information if it comes up.
We have time for one more question. So feel free if you have any questions or curiosities for our tour guides, speak up or write up in the chat. Going once. Okay, if not, we will move on to the quiz portion of today. So I'm putting in the chat right now a link. I'm gonna have you guys go to that link and we're gonna start our quiz. All right. So that link should take you to Menti, where I think will choose like an avatar and maybe a name. And I'll give you guys just a second to do that. And we'll play this quiz. Hope you were paying attention.
I feel kind of dumb. I keep clicking a heart and it's not doing anything. Am I doing something wrong?
Can someone who has successfully created an avatar and a name help Jenny? Has anyone been successful in doing so?
I'm same here.
I'm the same as she is too. It's trying to
I'm
open
wondering,
it.
yeah, I think Jennifer might have to do something because we're just getting spinning. There we go.
I got
Here
it
we
now.
are.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, is that working for folks now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. Okay, I'll give about 10 more seconds to create your avatar and then we'll get started. We got 5 questions. You guys are going to get points for correct answers, but also fast answers. So you want speed, agility, and accurate. And the stakes are high. The winner will be able to take home some genuine Socket swag. Socket is the program I manage out of our Division of Sustainability, all about helping Metro go green and be sustainable. So whether it's a water bottle, a t-shirt, a tote bag, we got everything you might need. And Kyle, I know Kyle is gunning for the water bottle. We already had this conversation. So these are high stakes offerings. All right, here we go. Without further ado. Metro Parks manages approximately how many acres of green space?
This might not be fair for me to do.
Yeah, so 15,000 is right. Okay, good job, guys. Yeah, it was like 15,000, I think 134. So quite a bit. Yeah, John, if you win, you'll have to give your water bottle to somebody else. That's okay, but you can play. Okay, question 2. Which is not an activity available through Metro Parks Outdoor Rec program? That is right. Is that correct, John? I assumed bungee jumping was not an option. Okay. Lot of liability there. And I saw somebody put archery and John, can you just talk for a second about the fact that, yeah, archery is something that y'all do offer, right?
Yeah, we actually have an beginner archery program this Saturday, 1 to 3. It's full. We've got people on the waiting list. And, but yeah, we do that pretty much, as long as the weather's good outside, we do it. It's fun.
That's awesome. A really wide array of ways to get involved. That's cool. Okay, question 3. Shelby Bottoms provides the following environmental functions or benefits. Yep, that's right. All of the above. It's an amazing natural green space to have right near the city, and it does all of these things as we discussed. So go Shelby Bottoms. All right, question 4. Now we just got 2 left. Which are recommended for kayak safety? Yes, all of the above. John, have you ever had to use a rope in a rescue situation on the water? You're muted.
I just muted it too. Yeah, we were out at the lake one time with the community centers, and all of a sudden, one of those summer storms blew up, and the wind was blowing away from shore. And one of the young ladies got blown out a little further than she wanted to, started panicking, just stopped paddling and everything. So luckily, I had the rope on me, was able to go out. We actually had to switch boats. because that one, the one I was in was easier to paddle, but basically tied a rope on and towed her back that way. And then I've used, you know, it's one of those things, if you're whitewater kayaking and it's a dangerous river, you set up ropes in multiple places just in case. Yeah, it's vital to have.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, let's take a look at the leaderboard and see how y'all are doing. It looks like, oh, Mars and Natalie appear to be almost neck and neck. Mars has a slight edge. All right, guys. One last question. Velvet, you're right there, third, bronze medal right now, but you can pull it out. So everybody, last question, last chance to redeem yourself on question number 5. Let's see if you can do it. Signs of a clean Cumberland River mentioned in the video include that is correct. I think tasting great and smelling fresh definitely would also indicate a healthy Cumberland, but we didn't mention them in the
Although
video.
I would say I would not recommend tasting it.
Taste it after it has been filtered by our
Yes.
fabulous Alejandro and Kara Harrington drinking water.
Even the cleanest of natural water sources, you don't usually want to drink them without some sort of treatment.
Yes. And yeah, but what was mentioned was that because all these awesome predatory animals do live in the river, it's a really good sign that the river is healthy. Okay, drum roll, please. Let's see who is our big winner today. This is almost as exciting as the Powerball. Okay, Mars, congratulations. Woo! Amazing. Mars, if you will email me, jennifer.westerholm@nashville.gov to claim your prize, I will get that in the interoffice mail to you. Congratulations. Thanks for playing, everybody. With that, I really want to thank you all so much for being here today. We're grateful that you took time out of your afternoon to join us and virtually kayak the Cumberland. You'll be receiving an email shortly. If you'll take a look at that, it will have a link to a survey so that you can give us some feedback about what you liked and how we can also improve the program in the future. And it'll also have a link to our workplace audit. This is about a 45-minute exercise. You can do it in a traditional office, in the field, or even at a home office to take a look at the energy use, water consumption, and waste opportunities to reduce waste in our workspaces. So this is something we really want to do as we strive to make Metro operations cleaner and greener, and we could really use your help doing it. So take a look for that. MetroConnect year 5 is wrapping up. We've got a couple more tours next week. If you're interested in touring in-person tours of Fort Negley, we have some opportunities, I think mostly full, but you could get on the waiting list and there's usually last minute spots. So if you're interested in that, please sign up. And then lastly, I just want to ask each of you to spread the word about MetroConnect, especially if you enjoyed it, to your colleagues, to let them know that this opportunity exists. We do it every fall. And again, it's a great chance to meet your colleagues and also learn about the great work that we're doing as a city. So thank you so much. Help us spread the word and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.